My wife refused intimacy every night after our wedding for a full month. When I confronted her, she retorted, "My body, my choice, you have no right." This led me to file for dissolution of the marriage. What followed was entirely unexpected. Chapter 1. The Cold Nights. Our wedding was a whirlwind of joyous celebration. Laughter filled the air, family offered blessings, and photographs captured the promise of a lifetime together. I genuinely believed we were embarking on a new chapter of love, partnership, and shared intimacy. The reality of the nights that followed, however, painted a starkly different picture. Each night, I reached for her, seeking the closeness inherent in marriage only to be rebuffed. Sometimes she claimed fatigue, other times illness. On many occasions, she simply scrolled through her phone until sleep overtook her, the luminescence of the screen far more captivating than my presence. Initially, I exercised patience. I reasoned that marriage required time, adjustment, and understanding. However, as days bled into weeks, my patience waned, giving way to confusion, and ultimately, deep-seated pain. On the 30th night, I finally voiced my concerns. My tone wasn't angry, but rather a plea born of desperation. "We've been married a month," I said, "and you haven't touched me once. What's going on?" Her response wasn't hesitant or apologetic. It was a cold, dismissive rejection, a sharp, cutting remark that pierced me to the core. "My body, my choice," she declared. "You have no right." The icy coldness in her eyes shattered something within me, leaving me feeling profoundly alone and betrayed. That night, as she slept soundly beside me, oblivious to my turmoil, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She hadn't merely denied me physical intimacy. She had denied me respect, love, and the fundamental tenets of partnership. In that agonizing silence, I made a decision. I would seek a legal dissolution of our marriage, not to win back her affection, but to completely sever ties. If this was her vision of marriage, I wanted no part of it. Little did I know, this decision would trigger a cascade of events none of us could have foreseen. The ensuing revelations would extend far beyond the issue of intimacy, delving into betrayal, avarice, and a revenge she never anticipated. Chapter 2. The Courtroom. Revelation. The courthouse possessed a faint aroma of aged paper and dust, the kind of place where lives are irrevocably altered by ink and signatures. I entered with a resolute step, my heart heavy yet unwavering in its purpose. I wasn't there to fight, to plead, or to cling to a dying hope. I was there to end it. She arrived late, impeccably dressed in an expensive suit, her demeanor sharp and self-satisfied. To her, this was merely another performance, a contest she was convinced she would win. When the judge inquired about the reasons behind my filing for dissolution so soon after the wedding, she scoffed, portraying me as impatient and demanding. She claimed I needed time, but asserted that I wasn't the victim. Rather, I was unstable, controlling, and impossible to live with. She regarded me with a look of utter disdain, as if my fate was already sealed. When it was my turn to speak, I stood calmly, my voice steady and measured. "Your Honor," I began, "I entered this marriage in good faith. For 30 consecutive nights I was denied not only intimacy, but any form of affection. When I questioned her, my wife responded with, 'My body, my choice. You have no right.'" A ripple of murmurs ran through the courtroom. The judge leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration. Then, I added, quietly but firmly, "This isn't solely about intimacy. It's about respect, trust, and the very foundation of marriage. I have reason to believe she never intended to be my wife. She had other plans, financial ones." Her head snapped towards me, her eyes widening for the first time. The veneer of confidence faltered because she was unaware that I had discovered incriminating messages and conversations with her so-called friends. boasting about marrying me for financial security and keeping me at arm's length until she gained control of my assets. As the bailiff prepared the evidence I had submitted, the damning messages, the judge's gavel fell, sharp and commanding. "We will review these messages," he stated. My wife's smug facade crumbled. At that moment, I realized that this court proceeding was about more than just dissolving a marriage. It was about unveiling the truth and watching her own lies bury her. Chapter 3. The Evidence Unveiled. A profound silence descended upon the courtroom as the bailiff presented the judge with a stack of papers, printed screenshots of the very messages my wife believed would remain forever hidden. The judge adjusted his glasses and began to read aloud, his voice clear and resonant. "Don't worry, girls," he read. "I didn't marry him for love. I just needed the security. Once I get access to his accounts, he'll be nothing but a stepping stone." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. My wife's face drained of color, her hands trembling against the table. The judge turned to another page. "A month of rejection will keep him off balance," he continued, reading from the messages. "He'll be too desperate to fight me when I push for control of the finances. It's my body, my choice, but it's also my plan." Whispers circulated among the onlookers. Even her own lawyer shifted uncomfortably, clearly taken aback by the revelations. My wife attempted to defend herself, her voice cracking with desperation. "Those were just jokes between friends," she stammered. "He's twisting it." The judge silenced her with a single sharp tap of his gavel. "Enough," he declared. "These are your words. This court will treat them as evidence of intent." He then turned to me, his tone firm and unwavering. "Given the evidence presented," he stated, "this court has serious doubts about the validity of this marriage and the petitioner's good faith. We will proceed accordingly." I remained silent, neither gloating nor smiling, allowing the weight of her own betrayal to crush her. What had begun as her arrogant attempt to strip me of my dignity had spectacularly backfired. And she had no idea that this was merely the beginning, for I still possessed one more piece of evidence that would completely dismantle her carefully constructed facade. Chapter 4. The Hidden Contract. The courtroom air was already thick with tension and whispered speculation, but I was not yet finished. I had withheld a final piece of evidence, one she never anticipated I would uncover. Weeks before filing for divorce, I had thoroughly reviewed our wedding paperwork. Among the documents, I found something most people overlook: a marriage contract addendum, which she had pressured me to sign without careful consideration. She had insisted it was merely a formality, but I had read it and subsequently sought legal counsel. Hidden within the fine print was a crucial clause, inserted at her request by her own attorney. This clause stipulated that if the marriage dissolved due to fraud, deception, or bad faith on her part, she would forfeit all claims to joint property and return any gifts or financial support received during the marriage. She had been utterly confident that I would never challenge her. She had not realized that she herself had signed her own downfall. I stood and handed the document to the judge. My lawyer clearly explained the clause, citing the messages as irrefutable proof of her fraudulent intentions in marrying me. The judge read the addendum twice, his expression hardening with each word. He then looked directly at my estranged wife. "You attempted to deceive this court, and worse, you attempted to deceive your spouse from the very beginning," he declared. "This contract is enforceable. The petitioner is absolved of all financial responsibility. The respondent forfeits her claims, effective immediately." Her gasp cut through the suffocating silence. She stood, trembling, desperately shouting at the judge. "No, this isn't fair. He tricked me. This isn't what I meant." But it was too late. The gavel fell. The courtroom doors might as well have slammed shut on the life she thought she had secured. She had attempted to manipulate the law to financially ruin me, Instead, the law itself had become the weapon that destroyed her schemes. While she stormed out, her reputation collapsing around her, I walked away calmly. This had never been about winning her back. It was about reclaiming my dignity, and she had unwittingly provided the very means for her own destruction. Chapter 5. The Social Fallout. The legal verdict was devastating enough, but the humiliation didn't end within the confines of the courtroom. News travels swiftly, especially within tight-knit circles. Her friends, the same women she had bragged to in group chats, obtained copies of the court documents and the damning screenshots of her boasts. "I just married him for security." These messages spread like wildfire, becoming the talk of the town. The women who had once envied her seemingly perfect marriage now mocked her behind her back. Some severed ties entirely, unwilling to be associated with a woman exposed for her manipulative schemes. Her parents, once proud to display her as the daughter who had married well, were furious. They had defended her actions, and now found themselves the target of whispers and scorn. At a family dinner I did not attend, her uncle reportedly slammed his fist on the table, exclaiming, "Do you realize what shame you've brought to this family?" From that day forward, even her relatives distanced themselves from her. She worked at a mid-sized firm where reputation was paramount. Once the truth emerged, colleagues whispered in the hallways, and her manager summoned her for a meeting. While they couldn't fire her for her marital scandal, promotions and opportunities vanished. Clients refused to have her involved in their accounts. The glamorous life she had envisioned, built on my hard work and her calculated manipulations, evaporated. The cruelest irony was that she had rejected me night after night, claiming, "My body, my choice." But in the end, the choice had never truly been hers. The law, her family, her friends, and even her career all made the choice to reject her. She was utterly alone, stripped of the very security she had so ruthlessly schemed to obtain. Chapter 6. The Final Poetic Justice. Months had passed since the court dissolved our marriage, yet her shadow lingered in whispered conversations and news headlines. However, I hadn't delivered the final blow, the one that would echo back to that first night of rejection and irrevocably seal her fate. One evening at a restaurant I frequented for business dinners, I saw her. She sat alone at a corner table, her hair disheveled, her phone silent beside her. The once confident woman who had mocked me was now a mere shell of her former self. When our eyes met, she stood abruptly, rushing towards me. "Please," she pleaded, her voice soft and broken. "Can we talk? Just for a minute. I've lost everything. My family won't speak to me. My friends have abandoned me. At work, they ignore me as if I don't exist. I thought I was being strong, independent. But I see now, I destroyed us." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they failed to evoke any sympathy within me. I placed my napkin on the table, met her gaze, and calmly stated, "You told me, my body, my choice. You have no right. And you were correct. You made your choice, and now you are living with the consequences." Her lips trembled. She reached out as if to grasp my hand, but I stood and moved away. As I left the restaurant, I felt no anger, only a profound sense of clarity. She had desired a marriage of convenience, a life built on manipulation and control. But she had underestimated one immutable truth. Real power resides in integrity, not deceit. In the end, she had lost far more than me. She had lost her family, her friends, her reputation, and the life she believed she was entitled to. I had filed for dissolution to escape her trap. But what I gained was freedom, dignity, and a future untainted by her avarice. Poetic justice. She denied me love, respect, and intimacy. In return, life denied her the security, reputation, and comfort she thought she had secured. Was this revenge justified? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the story if you believe justice was served. Share it with those who need to hear this story, and subscribe to Lauren's story for more gripping tales of betrayal and retribution, because here, every lie faces its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow.